Hello and welcome back to Against the Grain, the Farm Aid podcast. I'm Jessica Elise Kern.
And I'm Michael Stewart Foley. Here at Farm Aid, we're committed to growing the good food movement. You've heard us talk about this before, but just to refresh, the good food movement is an effort Farm Aid works on to help Americans understand where their food comes from, and that the food can be raised ethically in a way that's good for eaters and good for the environment. We found that the more people know about how their food gets to their table, the more invested they become in advocating for farmers, which is maybe more important now than ever in this present political climate.
Yeah, and here at Farm Aid, we've been hearing from farmers and also organizations working with farmers about just how difficult things are at the moment. Government funding freezes, impending tariffs that will impact farmers' prices, and the increasing frequency of climate disasters. And that's just some of the hurdles they're up against.
This is why making sure the public doesn't lose sight of who is actually growing our food is so important. The more we can make sure that farmers earn a fair price and that farming is a viable career, the more new farmers we'll get and current farmers will retain.
Michael, a great way to do this is getting buy-in from chefs. When they feature farms on their menus and farmers' bounties in their dishes, they're helping to keep farmers front and center in eaters' minds. It's a really good illustration of farm to fork. Last winter, we chatted with movers and shakers in the good food movement when we traveled to Willie Nelson's ranch outside of Austin, Texas, for the Luck Reunion. This small music festival is held in the late winter on the ranch to celebrate American roots music and culture. We're excited to announce that we'll be back in Texas at the upcoming Luck Reunion, where we'll be moderating a panel with artists talking about sustaining community in the face of climate disasters.
And we'll get another chance to chat with chefs the evening before the music festival as they prepare a fundraising dinner called the PotLuck, which benefits a couple of nonprofit organizations, including Farm Aid.
You may remember an episode we did with Rick Bayless. We spent time with him and other chefs at Luck Reunion last year, like Chef Michel Nischan and Chef Bleu who we featured in 2 other amazing episodes. And just to plug, they're all available on our website and you don't want to miss them. After you listen to this episode, head to farmaid.org/podcast and enjoy those episodes as well.
Now let's jump in and meet a couple of great chefs who are working hard to form and sustain strong relationships with their local farmers and the greater food community in their cities. Here are chefs Amaris Koenig Herndon and Jordan Herndon from Palm and Pine in New Orleans.
Jordan's at the farmer's market at least once a week, and they're all his best friends.
Everything revolves around whatever's going on seasonally, locally. You know, we build dishes around our farmers.
They'll hit us up even, day before and be like, oh, I have this cool thing I know you'd be into. Do you want to do a special with it or whatever,
Or hey, I need to move this, then it's like, okay, I could say I don't need this, or it's like, let's meet in the middle and
we'll make it happen.
I'm helping you out and we're saving some vegetables.
And nothing's getting wasted. When we make our orders from like Natco or even our like Louisiana Fresh, our like, regular produce that's coming in from California, like there's not that relationship and give and take. It's just like either they have it or they don't, either it's good or it's not. And there's no one really accountable for anything beyond whether they bring you what you ordered or not, but the quality of it, not really. But with our local farmers, it's a conversation like, what are we planting right now? When's it going to be ready? How much of it do you think you would use? Okay, well, this restaurant's using this, and I'm going to have the tops from this. Can you use that for this? It's becomes kind of collaborative as you build relationship with the farmers you buy from. In New Orleans, we're all passionate about our city, passionate about our food, and I think always there's been that real sense of community and like supporting each other.
Yeah, I mean, it's not only community, but it's the economy of it too, right? Like totally. It's just, we try to hit up, if I'm at the farmer's market, there might be 3 different vendors with 3 similar products, produce, whatever, and maybe one week I spend my dollar over here. I can't maybe spend my dollar everywhere, but I can't hit every single person, but like we get our candles from the market, as many things that we can do to keep that dollar in there. And then the other thing is we get some farmers come and eat at our restaurant every once in a while too. Yeah. So that's always cool.
And they send people to us too. It's like
yeah.
No, it's like, it just makes sense. If you're not working with your local farmers, then you're missing out. You know, like that's a key step in what we do.
You might hear Amaris and Jordan speak and think that the way they work with farmers is unique to New Orleans. But what we've found in speaking to chefs is that this kind of collaboration happens all over the country. That same day, we caught up with Chef BJ Smith, who runs the Smokehouse Restaurant Group in Portland, Oregon, and is a former contestant on Top Chef. Here, BJ talks about the economics of working with farmers.
I think that at this point in my career, making food is kind of, I wouldn't say the easy part, but it's like, it's different, right? Like any career you have and anything you're passionate about, you evolve over the years. And I think where I and a lot of my peers are at is just watching all the food where it's coming from the beginning to the end is just a really fun part of the process. And it brings a lot of inspiration to daily life even, you know? If we use like a broadliner produce company that maybe brings stuff in from California or Mexico, which is fine. I mean, you do what you got to do, right? But people think that getting vegetables from a farm is going to be so much more expensive, and it's actually cheaper. For us as restaurants buying things wholesale from the farm, it would be cheaper than if we were buying stuff that was brought in from California or Mexico, which makes sense, right? And then there's no fuel being used, and it just makes sense. For the trickle down of it is just so awesome.
One of the things that's cool about the potluck dinner is that the chefs come from all over the country and cook meals over open fires in the middle of Willie Nelson's ranch. The menu is determined, in a large part, by what's available in mid-March in the region. Last year's food was primarily sourced from Ronin Farms in Bryan, Texas. Here, BJ Smith, an expert barbecue and smokehouse chef, talks about how he decided to prepare beets as if they were brisket. Yes, you heard that right, beets as brisket.
We received a list of everything that they had at Ronin Farms, and he said we have a ton of beets. And so that just started off right there. And he has beautiful edible flowers that will be going on the dish. It kind of is mimicking the same colors. Everything that we have is from Ronin, which they have an incredible restaurant and farm, and we source as much as we could from them outside of olive oil. So I roasted the beets and then punched the beets out in a ring mold and then treated them like they're brisket in the smoker, and then just brushed like a beet barbecue sauce basically on top of them. And then I made another sauce with some other beet juice and some balsamic vinegar, and just really wanted to like touch on the sweetness and the earthiness and add some smoke. You know, it was really appropriate, I felt like, here in Texas. So really just celebrating the humble beet.
Hearing Chef BJ Smith wax lyrical about the humble beet, which we were later lucky enough to sample, so delicious.
So good.
After hearing from BJ Smith about the importance of his sourcing, we knew that we had to talk to Chef Brian Light, who runs Ronin Farms and Restaurant in Bryan, Texas. He told us that while some of the produce prepared at the potluck comes from his farm, he also sources from an organization called Farm to Table Austin, which gathers food from all over the state of Texas. Apples from Lubbock, citrus from the Rio Grande Valley.
But the most interesting thing, I thought, was when Brian told us he learned to farm by reading books and watching YouTube videos. It was all a lot of trial and error.
We moved to Bryan and we're trying to figure out what to do with our life. And it's like, well, we could buy this house, or we could buy this house that has 15 acres. It's a little further out of town, but for the same price, we have 15 acres. Let's figure it out. And then we did. And then like the first year we grew tomatoes because we had no idea what we were doing. And we had this huge bumper crop of tomatoes that if you've never had a fresh grown tomato out of your garden, like you've not had a tomato. You know, it's amazingly different. And versus the grocery store, a lot of it's kind of pale comparisons. Like I say that they're cardboard that tastes like tomato. And so the first year we had a kind of a good harvest of tomatoes. The next 3 years we had terrible harvests because I think it was beginner's luck. And then we just kind of started slowly growing stuff. So when I started, I had zero expectations of success because I'd never done it before. So I expected 100% failure. And so if I got like 10% of something to work, well, that was like 100% of that 10% that worked. And then you kind of build on your successes and kind of keep going. And so like after 10 years of doing it, I remember like a lot of it was like books and YouTube and how to figure it all out. And then one of the things I read somewhere was like, how long does it take to set up a farm? It said 50 years. I was like, all right, well, I got a little while to go. Fair enough, okay. And so every year we get better at it, and like we're kind of getting more and more efficient to see like how few labor hours we can get into this to still grow what we need to grow. But like this year we had a row of collard greens that was I mean, from here to the wall, basically, and maybe as wide as that door, and that fed the restaurant plenty. I was like, wow. And so it was kind of incredible to realize that that's all you really need to feed a restaurant.
The fact that he is self-taught, right in the shadow of Texas A&M University, the biggest agricultural school in the state, and carved his own path is so interesting and inspiring.
So it's funny, like a lot of the professors and stuff will come by and say, oh, this is a cute little, what you're doing here, but you're not going to feed the world. I'm like, I guess. And we had one guy we did a dinner for, he was one of the guests, and his wife comes up and is like, it's all this organic. I was like, well, I don't know if it's organic or not, but it's all local Texas stuff anyhow. She's like, well, my husband's in chemical agriculture, so like we don't boycott organic, but we generally eat chemicals. I was like, all right, whatever you want. And so the guy had the salad that night. He's like, man, I don't like salad at all. This is the best salad I've ever had in my entire life. I was like, well, that's interesting because it was grown this way versus what you're used to buying from. Right. You know? But even that didn't convince him. I was like, man, I don't know what to tell you.
So many of the chefs we've spoken with say they really establish relationships with their local farmers. And you can too. A great place to do this is at your local farmers market. I know for one, I'm personally making the goal of getting to know more farmers in my area. So join me. Go to your market, ask farmers questions, buy their food, and even consider visiting their farms.
It really helps farmers when you buy directly from them. Having a relationship with your farmer is priceless. You can sign up for a CSA so you become a shareholder, so to speak, in a farm's business. CSAs are like a membership to a farm. What's great about them is that farmers get the money up front so that they can plan and feel confident heading into a growing season. And you know personally the farmer who's growing the food you bring to your table. Pretty invaluable. Now's the time to sign up, so check out CSAs in your region. Go to our website, farmaid.org/podcast, where we have a link for you to find a local CSA in your area. You just punch in your zip code. And let us know how it goes. What's the coolest thing you got in your CSA? What new recipes have you tried? We'd love to know.
And is there something you wish we would have asked the chefs in this episode? Here's your chance. We're going back to luck. Send us an email or drop a comment. You can email us at podcast@farmaid.org and find us on social media, which is @farmaid on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and now Blue Sky.
And don't forget YouTube, where you can watch almost 40 years of performances and other content. We're really excited to head back to Luck. We'll be sure to report back about all of our experiences there. Let your friends know about Against the Grain. We're beyond grateful when you listen, share, like, and subscribe to this podcast.
Against the Grain was written and produced by us, with sound editing by N-House Media and direction from Don Sorokin. And thanks to Micah Nelson for our awesome theme music.
Thanks so much to all of the chefs who took the time to speak with us, and to all of the farmers who provide us with such good food. We'll chat with you next time.